So let's get into the story of personal training. So that's what you do now.
Yes.
How'd you get into it?
So it started pretty young. I had like a intense childhood, I was getting bullied a lot. I was getting like my ass kicked every day, and my father had cancer, and I had like a lot of mental illness in my family, like a lot of that going on, and I just didn't really know what to do, and I was just so tired of getting my ass kicked. I basically just scoured the internet, and so I'm 33, was born in 92, so like 16, 17 years ago. Just scoured the internet, and it was when like social media wasn't a thing, and you had to go on like T Nation forums, and you had to read bodybuilding magazines, and I just did everything. I just saw like Jay Cutler, and I did everything he did, even though like I was like a 15-year-old kid, like, it's not the same like a professional bodybuilder on like all the steroids in the world. It's like not what you should do. But one season I lost like 40, 50 pounds, and I stopped getting my ass kicked, and I got like decent at wrestling, and then I tore my meniscus in a wrestling match, and basically from there I was like, I'm just gonna lift weights, and that was like what really saved me from just like not being victim to my circumstances. I was also very heavily medicated. I was taking like, I somehow had access to like 40 milligrams of Adderall a day, which is like a really high dose of Adderall, and I was taking Jack3d as well, like the old original Jack3d with it had like the crazy stimulants in it. It's illegal now.
What is Jack3d?
It was like the OG pre-workout.
Okay.
Like people who started lifting in like the early, I don't know, people who started lifting like 15 years ago will know what Jack3d is. Mm-hmm. Some high schooler overdosed on it and died, but you could buy it at GNC. It was like during that era where like you were allowed to, they were like selling fake steroids at GNC, like pro hormones. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, taking like an insane amount of stuff. But after that knee injury, I really fell in love with lifting weights. And I really think it saved my life. Like it was like a dark situation for me. And one thing that also really changed my life was I had an uncle who wasn't really my uncle take me aside when my father was very sick with cancer. And he was like, listen, your dad's going to get really sick. And just a little backstory, like my father's a hero. He went down to he's a chiropractor for 30 years in the West Village. He went to 9/11 Ground Zero when it happened. He was working on the first responders, but he wasn't wearing a mask, and he got like stage 4 lymphoma. And so I had this uncle. He wasn't really a blood related uncle, but he took me aside and he was like, "Your father is your responsibility. And he's going to get really sick. His lymph nodes are going to turn into ice picks." And obviously that's a really messed up thing to say to like a 16-year-old. And so I just didn't know what to do with that. And in that moment, I feel like the wires in my brain were crossed. And I got this real OCD thing about fitness. Like if you're not tough, life is just going to take you out. And so you need to prepare for that. And so I took that to fitness. And, for better or for worse, I got really, really into lifting weights. And I came from a very academic family. Like my sister was a valedictorian, and I was like in special ed classes. And my mom was like, you have to go to college or like you got to get out of the house. And I was like, I thought I was like, my whole life, I thought I was very stupid. And so I was like, the only way I can go to college is if I go to music school, because I had played the bass my whole life, electric bass. And so I just basically just took a lot of Adderall and practiced, and I got in the school of music conservatory on a scholarship. And I wanted to still train, but I ended up going to school, and it was really overwhelming because I never was like around, like hung out with girls in high school. Like I never got invited to parties, and I didn't know how to, like, I didn't have much experience drinking. And so like pretty much from the get-go I was a blackout drunk. And I went to school in Philly, and I was just like blacking out on the streets of Philly, like fighting drug dealers, things like that. I mean, I have some pretty crazy war stories, but I got like real bad tendonitis from practicing like hours and hours a day, and I was just taking 40 milligrams of Adderall all day, and I just was getting into terrible situations from drinking, really regretful situations, and you know, uh, fast forward, I dropped out of school, and I met a music mentor, and he was like really one of those guardian angels in life. He took me under his wing. He was like like a world class bass player, world class martial artist, and he gave me like these 3 hour bass lessons, and I got to sit in jam sessions with all these like famous jazz musicians for about a year. And he told me like, listen, you're gonna have to either choose like lifting weights, or you have to choose playing bass, because it makes you really tight to play bass, and it's gonna be hard to be like a world class musician. And